Dear students, what we're going to learn today is the choice of startups. So the main content of today's study, there are three aspects. The first, startups in the business creation process, his position and influence. The second, indispensability of human resources we need to know. The third is to master the key to selecting and developing people. Let's start with the first one. Every company, every business, it all has its own different components. But no matter how you change, there are four categories of personnel that may not be lacking. The first is the management type. Second, technical talent. Third, business talents. Fourth, steward talent. Now let's look at it in turn. The first. What is a management talent? An example. For example, entrepreneurs like our startups. So, for example, like our partnership. The shareholders of the partnership. They are all our management talents. Of course, the premise is they have to have some managerial skills. So here it is, to make certain demands on their abilities. For example, can you do cost control? Because profit is the most important thing, that cost control is a very important part. Or, for example, your resilience is good, because companies often encounter many sudden problems and difficulties. We need to deal with it properly. Or, like, is there any legal awareness? Because our businesses need to operate legally and legally. And you, for example, ensure the normal operation of the entire company team. So what should managers do? Because the development of a business, entire management team, he played an important role in this, is self-evident. So if the management team is lazy, or the management team is not cohesive, then the entire enterprise efficiency is not high. So the first type of management talent is needed. The second is technical talent. We've discussed in previous chapters, China now enters Industry 4.0. Same time, a lot of our companies have developed their business. A lot of positions you have to do the corresponding duties and tasks that require our technology. And some companies, small and medium businesses, what it does is provide technical services. So we need a certain technical talent. Even if you are out there running a sale, can you have good technology? And you ran the sales results, sometimes it's proportional. For example, a lot of people don't use QQ now. You need to leave your contact information, use QQ. So what happened? Everyone was using WeChat at the same time. But how do you add to each other's WeChat? How do you use technology in WeChat? Put the ads you want. Care for your customers is all about technology. And how? It all needs to be thought about. What's more is that a lot of our businesses are going on. He's really using technology. For example, finance, as we discussed in previous chapters, customer relationship management, human resources management, right, including our stock out of the warehouse and so on, all of which require our technology. So if a company doesn't have technical talent, then he'll lack a lot. Third, business talents. What about business talent? He's mostly involved with external business. So, for example, relationship maintenance, the coordination, handling of customer relationships. Can be said, they're the test of the spring and autumn period and the warring states period, vertical and horizontal trend. Without them, we may not have a good, stable external environment. Without them, our products are difficult to market. Without them, it's hard to nurture our clients' loyalty to our brand. So they're the cornerstone of the company. So that kind of talent, he needs to be very executive and comprehensive ability. So, because you are executing the company's plan, what you need to think about is the company's strategy. You are going to have to plan and the corporate system, and then do it. That's why you have to be able to execute. And you have your team. How's your team doing? Does your team listen to you? Wait. All of this requires you to have a strong executive ability. It also requires comprehensive capabilities. Because we are business people. He doesn't just have to have good professional knowledge and skills. He has other abilities to examine. For example, you do business negotiations, you have to be familiar with the company's products and services, familiar with company history. In addition to being familiar with the company's human resources structure, you have to be familiar with the outside world, your competitors. You also need to know what your clients are like. So what else do you have to have? Psychology, sociology, including your speech. Right, wait, he has to have all kinds of abilities. And in the end, we might be able to make our products or our communication let this other client about the image of our company have a good impression of our products. Fourth, steward talent. Housekeeping is everything. But in this place, what's the so-called everything? To manage our technical talent, business and management talents, all the rest of the business. In fact, the whole thing can be said he's a big logistics guy. Because our business people, management and technical talents, they do professional stuff. But there's a lot of logistics to do, including food hygiene like ours. The purchase of this raw material, procurement of office supplies, etc. It all needs to be managed. So at this time, you need a butler to come out. Such people, what he needs? Careful thinking. Be patient. Besides, he has to be extremely capable of execution. So in summary, these four types of talent: management, technology, housekeeping, business, we're usually inside the company, is indispensable. Next, let's look at how to select and train employees. So we are basically divided into 3 levels. First level, partners and core leadership. We must pay attention to it. First of all, we have to put the ideal first. The ideal that this place talks about is not an empty ideal. But what is it? Everyone's goal of employment and entrepreneurship. Ideal values. It has to be together, so put it first. If there is no consensus on this point, well, for the follow-up related operations, in terms of the business under management, there may be some contradictions, can lead to poor cohesion. The second is that fit and communication are important. Because there are bound to be a lot of misunderstandings. Each has his own opinion. Then communication becomes very important in this minute. Therefore, effective communication must be formed. Otherwise, many of our things may be ruined. We'll be paralyzed there. No one cares. The third is magnanimity and tolerance. As a manager, you must be able to tolerate things. Magnanimous capacity. Not everything will be tolerated. So touch the bottom line. Touching the principle must not be tolerated. But for the mistakes made by many employees, or we are in the process of doing things, encountered a lot of difficulties. The result that can't be handled well must be tolerated. Because only after you melt, so that you can think calmly. What should we do next? The last one is that values have to be in common. As an enterprise, it has values. Well, this value includes the culture of the company, the spirit of enterprise, to be clear in the final analysis. Finally, we talk about the spirit of entrepreneurship, the values of entrepreneurs. In other words, the core team of our leadership. What values do you have? That is mapped to the enterprise. The enterprise will bring to the society. What kind of value experience? The second is our middle leaders. Middle leaders must be held responsible. So we are in the field of management. There is a very deadly principle of February the 8th, which means that your manager or 80% of your income. You take 80% of the responsibility. So middle-level cadres have to take responsibility. Because he makes decisions at the top, but the execution of specific affairs, it still depends on middle-level cadres to do it. And middle-level cadres manage a large number of employees. So you are responsible for the company. Be responsible to the employees. The second is to dare to fight. Dare to fight an uphill battle. What do many of our middle-level cadres like? Be a good old man, like to put it rotten. In fact, such a middle-level cadre, it is very harmful to the enterprise, our cadres, if you can't make an image that dares to fight. Well, this exemplary role, it can't be set up in the hearts of employees. The third habit grows in the process of change. You have to create some changes. We talked about the only constant law of the market. He just keeps changing. Enterprises are changing. The market is changing. Then people have to change, especially the management. And then there's must be an invincible Xiaoqiang. That is to say, our physical and psychological qualities should be excellent. Don't be defeated by setbacks. This is still the case for all employees. Not to mention our middle-level cadres. Last point, it's just that it's not good that I don't want to marry myself. That is to say, don't put yourself in a very important position. In fact, the zero mindset is very important. The third, grassroots frontline staff. The first, growth, needs to be put first. Because our employees, in fact, he doesn't ask for much. However, our enterprise, in fact, every enterprise, there should be a talent reserve plan. You have to see every employee. It is very likely that he will become some technical backbone in the future. management talents, so the growth of employees is very important. At the same time, employees are also eager to grow. Just like we said in the previous chapters, many well-known entrepreneurs talk about retaining employees. There are two things to retain employees. The first is adequate salary. The second is a good space for promotion and development. So if employees can't grow up, can't make progress, in fact, it is the enterprise that will be harmed in the end. But employees can grow. It is the enterprise that benefits. At the same time, the employee can improve. Enthusiasm and initiative. The second is to cultivate the optimism of employees. And be patient. One of our enterprises will encounter a lot of risks and difficulties. But how can we live together harmoniously? This is very important. So the usual training for employees, you should put your values, value experience, put it in. The third is not to despise each other. We're all talking about teamwork now. So when collaborating, as a matter of fact, we all have a division of labor. As the saying goes, there is a specialty in the art industry. So you can't do it. Give mature consideration to all aspects of a question. So there's no need to look down on each other. What should it be? Gather the heads of many families. Learn from each other. Students. So the above content. That's all we're talking about today. So, today, the main core of the content, it revolves around one factor. It's just people. So one of our enterprises, it should know how to explore and cultivate and retain employees. Cultivate employee loyalty and optimistic attitude. Well, especially for our core management and the middle management. So what kind of communication and coordination should we do? These are all very important, because if the construction of this management system is not perfect, well, in terms of the development of the whole enterprise, it will be blocked. Students, that's all for today's lesson. Thank you.